Welcome back, everybody. Today we've got two cases that really, I think, make you question how far someone will go to sort of escape their life. Both involve disappearances, but with pretty different twists and turns.
Yeah.
So we'll begin with Ryan Borgwardt, the man who vanished from Green Lake, Wisconsin, while kayaking.
Now, this case initially seemed like a tragic accident,
Right.
A devoted husband and father gone too soon, a community rallying to find him.
Right.
But as the story unfolded,
Yeah.
it took a turn
Oh, yeah?
into a real-life thriller.
So August 11th, Ryan Borgwardt told his wife he was going kayaking on Green Lake, which was, a routine outing for him.
Yeah.
He even attended church with his family that morning.
Right.
Seemingly without a care in the world, right? There was nothing to suggest this elaborate plan that he was about to put into action.
That's what makes this case so fascinating.
Right.
It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. Borgwardt had obtained a new passport 3 months before vanishing. He was meticulously crafting a new identity.
It sounds like it.
A way to just disappear without a trace.
And he almost succeeded.
Yeah, I did.
His overturned kayak, a lone life preserver bobbing in the water, painted this picture of a tragic drowning.
Right.
And for weeks, authorities and volunteers tirelessly searched for him.
Yeah.
While his wife, Emily, and their 3 teenage children,
Right.
endured this agonizing uncertainty.
Imagine the emotional toll, right?
Oh, yeah.
That desperate hope, battling the,
Yeah.
the crushing possibility of his death.
Yeah.
And all the while, the truth was far more twisted.
Because Ryan Borgwardt wasn't dead.
Yep.
He had staged the entire thing.
The whole thing.
He meticulously planned this escape.
Wow.
Leaving his phone behind. Even riding an e-bike through the night to reach Detroit.
An e-bike, wow.
Catching a bus to Toronto.
Oh, wow.
And then flying to Paris, and then ultimately ending up in Eastern Europe.
This level of planning, it points to a very specific personality type, right? Someone who thrives on control, avoids emotional confrontation,
Right.
and likely fantasizes about, escaping consequences.
Makes sense.
We see similar patterns in some white-collar criminals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And remember that new passport Borgwardt obtained.
Right.
Well, it seems his disappearance wasn't simply about, running away from his life, but about starting a new one.
Right.
Possibly with a woman that he had met online.
This adds another layer of complexity, right?
Yeah, it does.
Was this woman aware of his plan?
I mean, that's the question.
Was she complicit in his disappearance?
Right.
What role did she play in his decision to leave everything behind?
Yeah.
These are the questions that investigators had to grapple with.
So while Borgwardt was busy building his new life, his death was making headlines back home.
Oh, the irony.
And ironically, it was one particular headline that would crack his carefully constructed facade.
It really is ironic.
An email from Green Lake County Chief Deputy Vanda Kolk, sent while Borgwardt was in Eastern Europe, contained a photo that stopped him in his tracks.
Oh, wow.
A photo of the woman he went to meet.
According to the criminal complaint, upon seeing the photo, Borgwardt knew he'd made a mistake.
Wow.
The one mistake, he said, that he couldn't make.
Wow.
It seems his meticulously crafted escape plan had a fatal flaw.
That's incredible.
Right.
So his carefully constructed facade started to crumble. Spooked by the email, he returned to the U.S. and was promptly arrested.
What's striking is the contrast between his meticulous planning and this seemingly impulsive decision to return, right?
Yeah.
It suggests a level of emotional instability
I think so.
that perhaps fueled his actions all along.
I agree. And the fallout was immense.
Right.
Emily, his wife, filed for divorce upon discovering her husband's elaborate deception.
Yeah.
She is seeking sole custody of their 3 children. It's a tragic outcome,
Yeah, it is.
A family shattered by one man's actions.
The betrayal.
Yeah.
The emotional trauma, unimaginable.
Yeah.
To mourn someone you believe is dead,
Right.
only to discover they were living a new life.
Yeah.
It's a wound that may never fully heal.
It's a story that leaves us pondering the psychology of someone who could orchestrate such an elaborate deception, right?
You say it leaves us with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
But I think this case reveals a universal truth.
Okay.
The desire for reinvention, right, whether it's justified or not is another matter.
Right.
But that urge is at the heart of Borgwardt's actions.
All right.
And perhaps even in our next case.
Okay.
Which takes us to the bustling streets of Los Angeles and the disappearance of Hannah Kobayashi.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So while the Borgwardt case revealed a deliberate deception, Hannah Kobayashi's story takes us into the murky waters of voluntary disappearance.
Right.
Where the motives are far more elusive. This case captivated public attention.
Yeah, it did.
But unlike Borgwardt's, calculated actions,
Right.
Hannah's disappearance is shrouded in mystery.
That really is.
So here's what we know. Hannah, a young photographer from Maui, was heading to New York City.
Okay.
She had a connecting flight in Los Angeles, but missed it.
Yeah.
And told her family she'd spend the night at the airport.
A missed connection, a night at the airport.
Right.
Seems like a common travel hiccup. Right.
Exactly.
But that's where things take an unexpected turn.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little strange.
So the next day, Hannah texted her family saying she was sightseeing in L.A. Wouldn't typically raise any alarms, right?
Right.
But then her communication became sporadic.
Okay.
And the messages themselves took on this strange,
Yeah.
almost cryptic tone, alarming her family.
Those cryptic messages, I think they're crucial to understanding this case.
Yeah.
They suggest a shift in Hannah's state of mind, right?
Right.
Was she in trouble? Was she trying to send a coded message?
Right.
It's hard to say for sure.
So by November 11th,
Ah.
with no clear communication from Hannah
Yeah.
and growing concern for her safety, her family made the agonizing decision to report her missing.
Right.
They flew from Hawaii to L.A.,
Yeah.
desperate for any sign of her.
It's a parent's worst nightmare, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To have your child vanish without a trace.
Yeah.
To be left with, unanswered questions
Right.
and this mounting fear.
And tragically, the search for Hannah took a devastating turn.
It did.
Hannah's father, Ryan Kobayashi, who had flown to Los Angeles to help with the search,
Right.
was found dead near LAX.
Oh, wow.
It was later confirmed that he had died by suicide,
Oh, God.
adding another layer of heartbreak to an already agonizing situation.
This aspect of the case is incredibly difficult to process.
It is.
It reminds us of the devastating ripple effect these events have.
Right.
Not just on those directly involved, but on their loved ones as well.
Of course, absolutely.
So as the search for Hannah continued, volunteers joined the effort,
Right.
combing through Los Angeles,
Yeah.
hoping for any clue to her whereabouts.
Right.
But the breakthrough, when it came, was not what anyone expected.
Yeah, I bet.
Reviewing security footage, the LAPD discovered evidence that Hannah had crossed the Mexican border voluntarily.
Wow.
It was a revelation that shifted the entire narrative of the case.
Right.
So Hannah wasn't abducted.
Nope.
She wasn't lost.
Right.
She had chosen to leave.
Wow.
After confirming that Hannah was safe in Mexico and had no desire to return home, the LAPD closed their investigation.
It's unbelievable.
This, of course, raises a whole new set of questions.
Oh, yeah.
Why did Hannah choose to disappear?
Right. What was she running from?
What was she running toward?
Yeah.
How could she simply vanish, leaving her family to believe the worst?
Absolutely.
These are questions that continue to haunt her family,
I'm sure.
especially her sister, Sydney, who has spoken publicly about the devastating impact of Hannah's disappearance.
Right.
She's expressed feelings of betrayal,
Makes sense.
of being left in the dark,
Right.
of a sister who chose to sever ties without explanation.
Right.
Imagine that mix of emotions, relief that your sister is alive,
Right.
but also anger, confusion,
Yeah.
and a deep sense of hurt.
Right.
It's a complex emotional landscape to navigate.
Yeah, it is.
And Sydney's willingness to speak out, I think, underscores the profound impact of Hannah's actions.
Absolutely.
And in a move that highlights the complexity of this case,
Yeah.
the family decided to refund the GoFundMe donations
Wow.
made for the search and later for Ryan Kobayashi's funeral expenses.
That's incredible.
This action is incredibly complex.
Yeah, it is.
On one hand, it demonstrates integrity, right? And a refusal to benefit from a situation that was misrepresented.
Right.
On the other hand, it could be interpreted as distancing themselves from Hannah,
Right.
further complicating any future reconciliation.
Absolutely.
So both of these cases, while distinct in their details, they expose the human capacity for secrecy,
Yeah.
for deception,
Right.
and for making choices that leave others bewildered and heartbroken.
Just true.
What's particularly intriguing to me is the contrast between Ryan Borgwardt's calculated deception and Hannah Kobayashi's seemingly impulsive disappearance.
Right.
Are there different types of disappearances?
Yeah.
Different motivations that drive people to vanish from their own lives?
Right. And in Ryan's case, we can speculate it was a combination of factors, right?
Sure.
Perhaps a midlife crisis, a desire for a fresh start, maybe even an infatuation with this woman he met online.
Right.
But with Hannah, it's more elusive.
Yeah.
Was it a mental breakdown? Was she fleeing a situation we're unaware of?
Right.
Or was it simply a desire to shed her old life and start anew?
Maybe.
Yeah, it sounds like both these cases force us to kind of look in the mirror and confront some uncomfortable truths about human nature.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
We like to think we know the people in our lives, but these stories remind us that everybody has secrets.
Right.
And some secrets, have the power to completely unravel a life.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating to me is both these cases involve this element of a new life, right?
Right.
The seemingly irresistible pull towards reinvention. For Ryan, it was a physical escape.
Yeah.
A meticulously planned new identity.
Right.
For Hannah, it might be more of an internal transformation, right?
Right.
A shedding of her old self. But both cases
Right.
raise questions about the motivations behind such drastic choices.
Yeah. And then there's the role of these, other individuals
Right.
connected to each disappearance.
Yeah.
In Ryan's case, there's the woman he allegedly went to meet, the potential catalyst for his escape.
Right.
But was she aware of his deception?
Right. Was she a willing participant?
Yeah.
Or did he manipulate her too?
Right.
It's certainly possible he created this false narrative,
Right.
playing the victim to gain her sympathy and support.
Right.
We see this type of manipulation a lot in cases involving romantic deception, right?
Yeah.
The individual crafts a persona to lure someone into their web of lies.
Mm-hmm. And in Hannah's case, we have this mysterious aunt.
Right.
Who supposedly went to Mexico with her.
Right. What was her role in all this?
Yeah. Was she a confidant, an enabler?
Right. Was it something else entirely?
Nothing else entirely. Right.
We can't discount the possibility that Hannah was seeking a kind of mentorship, right? Someone who validated her desire for a different life.
Right.
Perhaps this aunt represented a path less ordinary.
Right.
An escape from, societal expectations.
Right. These are questions we may never have definitive answers to, but they add another layer of complexity to these already intriguing cases.
Right.
It's a reminder that even in this digital age, with all its supposed transparency, there are still mysteries that defy easy explanation.
Going back to Ryan's case for a second.
Okay.
That detail about the e-bike
suggests
a degree of pre-planning we didn't initially consider. It wasn't just about escape for him. It was about control over the narrative.
Right.
He wanted to disappear on his terms to orchestrate his exit.
Right. And with Hannah, the cryptic messages, the deliberate crossing of the border, all suggest a level of intentionality that we're only beginning to understand.
I think that's right.
Yeah, and in a way, that's what makes these cases so captivating.
Yeah.
They tap into our innate curiosity about the unknown.
Right.
About the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives.
I agree.
They challenge us to consider what might drive someone to make such extraordinary choices. To vanish from their own lives, leaving behind a trail of devastation and unanswered questions.
And ultimately, these cases leave us grappling with uncomfortable truths about ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Our capacity for deception, our longing for reinvention, our vulnerability to manipulation.
Yeah.
They force us to acknowledge the shadows that exist within, even the most seemingly normal individuals.
It's a sobering thought, but a necessary one.
I think so, too.
Perhaps the real takeaway here is a heightened awareness, right? A reminder to value open communication in our own lives, to cherish the bonds that we have, and to never take for granted the fragile nature of trust and loyalty.
Well said. And as we wrap up this episode of House of Crimes, we want to leave you with this. The human psyche is a labyrinth.
Yeah.
And sometimes the most baffling mysteries are the ones closest to home.
So keep those minds sharp. And remember, everyone has a story.
That's true.
But not all of them are worth telling.
Right. Be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Yes.
And tune in daily for more captivating true crime stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
Until next time, stay safe.